Stirring the coffee with the quadruple vortex method, using 2 sets of chopsticks, not broken. 4xing the big chopstick energy. The only way to optimize the taste of your coffee. At the molecular level. Good morning. Welcome to the Daybreak Show. I am the Sultan. We'll get started, but first, coffee that I roasted from Bali, B-A-L-I, and ground this morning, made in my favorite French press that I told you about. There's going to be all kinds of links for everything down below, just because I'm excited. I already had a cup of coffee, as you might have already discovered or sensed. They say a sale is nothing but a transfer of enthusiasm. My enthusiasm transfers to someone else. My enthusiasm about this French press coffee maker, I've had it for a year. I can't say enough about it. The best tasting coffee I've had, and you know I use all the methods. Everything is from this. I extract the best flavor from the ground coffee better than any other method. And what do? Drip, pour over, percolator. I poured it through that sock thing that a Brazilian friend gave me. Cowboy coffee, instant coffee. What else? AeroPress. K-cups, various pods. My favorite is French press, no doubt, no doubt. So here it goes, the second cup of coffee with natural, unfiltered, unpasteurized honey. That right there is why I drink coffee. That right there. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Single topic, Daybreak Show today. Let's talk about some motivational things. It's kind of natural since I'm kind of floating from the first cup of coffee. I feel good. Had a great night's sleep. Probably slept 10 hours. Man, do I feel good. Feel really good. Had a great day cutting hair yesterday. Just an absolute great day. Felt good. Healthy. I'm coming back. It's been a rough winter. I stopped walking in the mornings when the snow first came, and there's all these slippery spots in the streets. I don't walk on the sidewalks because they're all jagged and uneven. So I walk in the road. And one morning I went out in January, and what do they call it? Black ice, where it doesn't look like a big obvious ice section. It just looks like, the black pavement. And I'll tell you what, I just about ended up on my bottom end. Almost fell. And then, I thought, I'll just walk smarter or slower. And then one morning I took one step out the front door, and literally the foot that went out the front door kind of went like that, and I caught myself, and I said, that's it. The last thing I want to do is fall. So I put the walking off. I would imagine that, like right now, there's still 4-foot snowbanks on the side of the road. And the snow is melting a little bit during the day, and then the water from the snow melting freezes, and it just makes it hazardous. But I haven't put on weight, which is interesting, but I am controlling what I'm eating much better. Oh, speaking of eating, I have to show you something. Pardon me, pajamas on. Sometimes like the show is like show and tell, like in first grade. Dehydrated liver that I made. Liver snacks. Just energy. The reality is, it tastes like chocolate to me. It's got that richness. If I just gave it to you and said, it didn't tell you what it was, you might think it's candy. And I'm dead serious. It's that good. It is so ridiculously good. This right here, that's a pound of liver. Dehydrated, minus a few pieces. Wonderful. Just snack on it. I will tell you this though, if you're going to be around people after having liver, you better brush your teeth. Or if you're going to be around your wife, mister, don't kiss her after you ate liver, because you are going to have liver breath, and it's gnarly. After you have a piece of that and then smell your breath, it's just like, ugh. But it tastes so good, and it's so good for you. Huge bag, a quart bag I have 2 London broils that I cut up. You heard me talk about that. And I made like these size. I just cut the steak up into these size. It's actually London broil. And it's wonderful. Let me just show you a cross section. Opinel number 8. Now I just cut it in half. Can you see what that looks like? It's dried. It's not cooked. So I removed the moisture from it. Let me just get up close. Can you see that? It is magnificent. You could have 3 or 4 of these and a bottle of water and a glass of water, and that's lunch. And I'm not kidding you. I'm not kidding you. You could even do it while you're walking during your lunch hour. I'm not kidding you there. Take a small, now you won't be able to eat that much. I'm not kidding you. You know, like the small Ziploc bags that are like this big? Put 3 or 4 of those pieces in that Ziploc bag. Or you could just wrap it up like in a piece of cloth. Like there's times where I have like a bandana, you know, like a bandana, and I wrap up my dried beef in that, just stick it in my pocket. And that's perfectly acceptable. And it keeps it from getting any moisture. A lot of times if you put, when I put beef, dried beef in bags, I don't seal it all the way. I always keep a little bit of the zip part open to release any moisture. If you put it in a Ziploc bag, the next day, sometimes the inside of the bag might be wet. And you don't want that because that'll cause, you know, mold and that kind of thing. So I like my dried meat dry. And of course, cut with an Opinel number 8. This is the carbon steel blade. I have a stainless steel blade, Opinel number 8. This is the carbon. It holds an edge better. I really like it. And I kind of like how it discolored. It went from like a shiny chrome look to a discolored look. I like the patina of a used knife. And of course, right here is my immunization, vitamin C, zinc, and D. Take that every day. That's super important. And drink it down with some water. This is a Nalgene bottles. I have those for water storage, but just for every day I got the Nalgene canteen rather than carrying around this big sterile lab, looks like lab, something you see in like a laboratory. I like the Nalgene canteen. And it even has a shoulder strap thing, like a pouch with a shoulder strap. So this is magnificent. I think this was about 10 bucks, but I got this probably a year and a half ago. I love this. Let's get started. Today's going to be a motivational day. Martha Stewart. Why am I quoting Martha Stewart? I used to really like Martha Stewart when she would give teaching on entertaining people. Just little things that she spoke about that when you invite people over your house, things you can do, appetizers, and things that you can make for people that make you a great host. I used to have parties where I would call a few guys that I know and ask them to call a few guys that, you know, that they know, people that we all know. I would call a few women that I know. You've seen the pictures. You know, I've posted pictures of me and my male and female friends. Make about anywhere between 5 and 10 calls. So I talked to 5 to 10 people. And I always said, men bring something to drink, women bring something to eat. And literally at 7 o'clock that night, 70 to 80 people would be at my house for a party, house party. And what did I do? All I provided was paper plates, forks, napkins, you know, and cups and ice. And that was it. And, you know, bingo, instant party. And then there was always a few people who would hang out at the end to help me clean up and take out trash and rearrange furniture. And I loved entertaining. Now, I'm a little bit more of a hermit now, but I might go back into entertaining mode someday. You never know. But I used to love that. But I would get a lot of tips, entertaining tips from the various cooking shows. But this was even before before there was a such thing as the Food Channel. Like, there wasn't even a Food Channel on cable back when I was doing this. I used to occasionally watch, the only cooking shows were on PBS. So it was like Jacques Pepin, Martha Stewart, Graham Kerr, The Galloping Gourmet. Who else? There was just a handful of people. Marianne Esposito, Lydia. And I would get different tips. And then they would also have entertaining and hosting ideas based upon holidays and seasons, and that was just cool. And I store it all here. So I was the ultimate house party guy, and always had fun. Always had fun. And left all my CDs out in the CD player where people could choose whatever music they want, and we just had a good time. It was cool. But here's Martha Stewart. Even before I found my entrepreneurial spirit, one thing I know was that I enjoyed cooking and focusing on the home. I began baking pies and selling them at a local market. I opened a small gourmet food market called the Market Basket, where I sold my own foodstuffs. Then I took a bigger step. I started a catering business. From the first event, I knew immediately that I had found an enterprise that combined several of my talents, my interests, and some of my business experience. Catering paved the way for me to find my true passion. She says, if you want to begin the journey to discover your entrepreneurial passion, you must first analyze your own interests, strengths, weaknesses, and desires. That's good news for those of you that want to start your business and be free, because you totally got cucked in 2020. Let's get real. As far as business is concerned, there's very few of us that escaped the effects of 2020. And I think 2021, I like the one at the end of 2021 because it reminds me of a middle finger. It's 2021, it's for you to give 2020 the finger. I'm so sick and crude examples, but I'm so sick and tired of the Orwellian control, and I know you are too. Maybe you're not. Maybe you like to be told what to do. Maybe you like wearing masks. Maybe you like all this stuff. Maybe you like that, right? But some of you believe it's for your own good. 2021, right here. Now let's talk about your sweet spot. How do you even begin a business? How do you start to profit? How do you start to bring in your own money? You can go to Goodwill and Salvation Army and thrift stores and buy books and literally sell them for $5 to $10 more. I remember Gary Vaynerchuk telling the story of a guy who made $200,000 his first year selling used books on eBay. Now check this out. He worked it like a job. It was not a casual thing. Think about when you work a job. What do you work? 8, 9, 10 hours a day. This guy did this 8, 10 hours a day. He had a day of shopping. He talked to the people who put out the merchandise in these secondhand stores. He knew when the fresh merchandise was coming out. He looked for first editions, which always sold for 50 times more than he bought them for. Old books, popular books. He did his research. $200,000 a year. But you got to work it like a job. Are you willing to work 40, 50, 60 hours a week to make $200,000 a year? Are you? Don't just look at me. Are you? All right. So let's talk about your sweet spot. Number one, the sweet spot. It's the place on the golf club, the bat, the tennis racket, where a combination of factors result in maximum response. You know, when you're whacking a golf ball, that club, the ball has to hit the club at just the right spot, and then guess what? It just disappears, right? Think about it. On the bat, what is the sweet spot on the bat? You know, if you ever played baseball or softball, when you hit the ball and it just flies, and you're like, wow. What do you try to do? You try to duplicate that you try to remember, like, where did I swing? What level did I swing? Where did it hit the bat? What was the energy that I used before that bat came in contact with the ball? And you want to duplicate that over and over and create a system. So the ball goes further and faster when it comes in contact with the sweet spot. So question number one for you is this. What is the sweet spot in your career? Now you got to remember, my first teaching job out of college, I was teaching in college before I was 30 years old. And the first course that I taught was called The Psychology of Career Development. I'm not even sure if they're still teaching it at that college. I worked for a year as a college counselor in a community college. After that year, they asked me if I wanted to teach. I said, yes, I would love to teach. Question number one, what is the sweet spot in your career? Where do you, just like the sweet spot on a bat or a golf club, where do you go farther and faster in your career? What is your sweet spot? Is it data? Is it sales? Is it back-end support? Is it face-to-face with people? Is it giving group presentations? What is the sweet spot? What do people trust you more with than anything else? But you might be a little bit too spread out. Where do you need to kind of focus? Now, I am a jack of all trades, but I do have sweet spots. So you are the same. You have a sweet spot. What is the sweet spot in your career? What do you do better than anyone else, and what do you enjoy? I used to do a grid where I would make like a grid. One axis, I would put your interests, The other axis, I would put your skills, and then I'd fill in each axis point. And then I would take a look at interests and skills, and where they intersect, where they meet, is your sweet spot. Question number 2, what do you do that is so good, so competitive, that other people say, wow, when you are doing that thing? Question number 2. And I believe I put this in the community section of my YouTube channel, so you can look at these questions there. Number 3, are you in a place where you can leverage that sweet spot, or how can you get to that place where people know about your sweet spot, they desire it, and are willing to bid for you to get that on their team, their side, their job, their company, their department? Question number 4, who needs to see your sweet spot in action, and how can you get it in front of them? If I was doing career counseling with you, which is something that I do very well and have a lot of success stories, these are the questions that I would ask you, and these are the questions that I would help you develop over a period of time to reinvent yourself at any age. I'll say that again. Who needs to see your sweet spot in action? And number 5, what other spots are on deck? Okay, you have your number 1 sweet spot, the thing that just makes you better, that you do so well, that you enjoy, that you do passionately, but you just do it better than everybody else, okay? That's your sweet spot. That's number 1. Now, what is number 2? What is number 3? And how can you start prepping them for their time at bat? So what skills are on deck, and how can you prep them for their time at bat, so you're not just a one-trick pony? So the idea is to have several sweet spots in time. How can you develop that? Those are the questions that I'm asking you as you are at a crossroads in your life in 2021 after getting cucked in 2020. The best way to recover from 2020 is to turn around and give it the big finger and show it who's boss. Are you ready for that? And with that, finish your coffee, and I'll see you Monday morning on the Daybreak Show, your home of sanity, clarity, reason, and your sweet spot.
Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other. So far as the echo, where do we start? You can learn to discover a million stars. Here in the shadows, I know you're scared. Take my hand, together we'll make a stand. We've got to fight to find a way. Dare to fall to find out what to say. No more hate. Just admit that you're just afraid. Time to let go of all your fears and pride. Stand up beside me, don't you hide. We can build a better place. If we can just find a way, then we can live a better day. Rise from the ashes, from the anger, from the war. Let's come together, lift your spirit for the cause. We should be equal, should be living free. All together, one and all, let's build a dream. Just admit that you're just afraid. Put your spirit for the cause. We should be equal, should be living free. All together, one and all. All together, one and all. All together, one and all. Let's live a better day.